It is time we finish our tier list series, man. We went through every single archetype. We already dropped the offensive version of this. It's time for the complete version of the defense, and we'll rank every single archetype player in college football 26 so y'all know who to recruit and maybe who to avoid. I also want to preference this, man. This is not scheme dependent. So if you run a certain type defense, maybe that archetype will be perfect for your defense. What I'm talking about is guys that will progress. And I also value guys that pretty much get more balance, man. I hate guys that could only do one thing and they could do that thing mid. So I'm going to put those guys lower compared to guys that could do everything well. You know, the well-rounded offensive lineman. That was in my great category because they could do everything at a high level. So I can't specify by every individual scheme and then also put it in this tier list. It don't make sense, man. Like, for example, edge setting defensive end might go into the good category in the 3-4 type defense, but if you're in a 4-3, it makes zero sense. So I'm not just basing it off a scheme. I'm basing it on how they develop, how expensive it is for them to upgrade, and also their abilities, man. Some of these guys got abilities that they could never even get, so I'm factoring that stuff in. And use this information how you may choose. But if y'all enjoyed the content, like, comment, subscribe. We have launched the ebook/membership. First link in the description, man. One-stop shop for everything Dynasty, spreadsheets, a little bit of everything, whatever you need down below, tap in. Now, with that being said, let's hop into this tier list, man. We got a brand new microphone. I hope it sounds good. We're upgrading the setup, man. We upgrading. Brand new mic, but that does not matter here, man. So the tier list, same as the offensive one, man. We have great. That's going to be obviously the best of the best, in my opinion. Then we have good, you know, good player to recruit, good guy to go after. Just don't really move my needle. Not the best, not the worst. Could be usable. Maybe just depends on the defense. Then we got bad. Maybe just a guy you probably want to maybe not avoid, but just not the best of the options. And then you have a void, man. Guys, that's really not great, in my opinion, man. Really not great. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and hop in. And this one is going to be a little bit different in the offensive version, I think you'll see here, man. A little bit less archetypes. And also, I think it's going to be a little bit more even. So, first, we're going to start off with the edge setter. And I want to put these boys in the avoid category. But just because the fact that there are guys that run, 3-4 defenses, or you run 3-3-5, whatever, and you might really need an edge setter. I'm going to put it in the bad category because it can play a role. These guys cannot rush the passer at all. They cannot rush the passer. And from my testing, it seems like they just develop a little bit slower than the other archetypes edge rushers. So they're going to be in the bad category, man. And, I'm more of a 4-3 guy, even 3-3, 3-3-5. And I still don't see a role for an edge setter in my defense. I would much rather go after the power guy, man. I think the power edge rusher is damn near great. The only issue is I love their abilities. I also love how they could get, the power moves, and then also the great block shedding they can develop. And they're strong. They also get that strength. The thing you got with the pure power, they can never upgrade their finesse moves. So if you care about being, finesse and a power guy, you don't want to go with this. But I do like these guys over just an edge setter, man. If you, like I say, you running 3-4, I would rather go after a power guy, or I would rather go after a power rusher. I'm going to put power rusher also in the good category, but I'm going to put it, a little bit behind the power, man, in my opinion. I think both usable. I think the power rusher is going to be the most well-rounded defensive end edge rushing archetype in the game, man, because you're getting solid power moves. You could develop the sour finesse moves, and also you're getting some block shedding, and the abilities are also pretty good. Now, I wish I would have put on this tier list the athlete edge rusher, man. I believe that is maybe the best archetype in this game for D-line. The athlete edge rusher, the thing you're getting about them, they're going to come in as a power rusher, but they come in with more finesse moves than power moves for some reason. You could get them as a 4-star and a finesse and power start in the 80s. And that's great, especially when the block shedding is, down there in the 70s. It's not going to be, 69, but it's also not going to be 79. It's going to be, somewhere in that 70 range. You're kind of getting a do-it-all guy. So I really, really do enjoy the athlete power rushes this year. Last year, I wasn't that big on them. This year, I absolutely love them. I found a generational one in my Colorado series. And yes, he, as a freshman, true freshman, he got like 10 sacks, not even starting. Seriously, got 10 sacks, not even starting, just because he got the finesse moves and the power moves. And the thing about them, they come in heavy. They be big boys, 6'6", 270, 6'5", 260. Like, these boys come in big. So the athlete edge rusher, athlete power rusher, whatever you want to call it, it's not going to be on this tier list, but I view them very highly. And if you see them, go after them, scout them. I believe they're very good, man. But I'm going to put that in the good category, as well as the speed rusher, man. I think the speed rusher is also a good edge rusher. Last year, this was my favorite. It was my favorite edge rusher out of all of them, just because they came in with the best speed, and you're getting the same thing here. They also come in with good finesse moves, great finesse moves at times. You're losing out on some block shedding. So if you're running, a defense, maybe a 3-4, maybe you want to avoid this speed rushing edge rusher, maybe. Depends how you run your defense, because the block shedding is probably not going to be there, man, honestly, for the edge rushers. But when I'm running a 4-3 defense, I don't maybe need my edge rushers to be great with, strength and finesse, and block shedding. I just need them to rush the passer. So I do like these speed rushers, but like I said, I think the power, this new archetype is probably my favorite, and then the speed rusher is number 2. And like I said, if you're running like a 3-4, if you need a defensive edge rusher that could also stop the run, I really do like these power guys. Edge setter, just not high in my book. And I know there's going to be a couple guys that really like them. Not high in my book. So next we'll go with the speed rusher. I'm going to throw the speed rusher in the avoid category, man. I just think it's way too many, or the block shedding is way too low, and there's just way too many other archetypes that's a lot better at D tackle, man. Yes, they could produce a lot of sacks. If you get one that's a gem, 4-star, 5-star gem, he could be very good, and maybe one day he could develop the block shedding. Also with this whole thing, I am factoring in, you're probably not going with auto progression. So if you have manual progression on, you could change some of this stuff. But even for the speed rusher, for them to become good at block shedding and upgrade the strength, it's expensive. It's more expensive. But if you do go manual progression, you can upgrade this guy to be more well-rounded. But in auto progression, man, you'll have some of these D tackles with they block shedding in the 60s, man, upper 60s. That don't get it done at D tackle. And maybe you only bring them in on third downs to rush the passer, and they could play that role. They could be useful. So they're going to go in the avoid category. But like I said, it could be niche. It could play a role on your team. It could be useful depending how you run your defense. For me, I will avoid them when you got other archetypes like the pure power. Once again, I really do like the power archetype, man. I really, really do like the power archetype of this year, man. No, same concept. No finesse moves, but that power moves will be very good. You also get good strength, and you get good block shedding ability with solid abilities as well, man. And I think you get in the full package with these power guys, man. I'm going to also put the gap specialist here second for my D tackles. I really like the gap specialists as well. Now, these gap specialists, they're supposed to be your big boys, man. Your lane cloggers, your gap cloggers, whatever you want to call them, man. They're supposed to be bigger, stronger, and you're definitely getting that, man. You're losing out on some pass rush ability, but these guys are going to be the best for stopping the run. And it's nothing worse than someone running the ball on you and you could do nothing about it. So I do like the gap specialist. Is the best thing in the world? No, it's probably going to be, we'll pit another guy ahead of this archetype. But it's useful, especially, like I said, depending what defense you run. You could view them as your nose tackle. You're getting good block shedding. And they could develop, especially if you got manual progression on, they could develop the ability to rush the passer. And you don't ever need them to be great at rushing the passer. Even if it's low 80s, the finesse moves and the power moves. And they both seem to develop kind of evenly with auto progressing. So they're solid. And like I said, best abilities to stop the run and attributes to stop the run. And they're the biggest, strongest. maybe not the strongest, but they're definitely the biggest out of all the archetypes most consistently. Now we're going to go with the power rusher, man. And I'll put the power rusher number one. For me, the most well-rounded archetype, man. You're getting solid strength, power, speed, finesse moves. Like, you're just getting solid everything, man. Block shedding, the abilities, okay. It's like 2 abilities in there that, I don't want to say useless, but not the most useful in the world. So I would definitely put them in my number one category just for the fact that they could do everything, man. If you run a 3-4, guess what? You can use a power rusher. If you run a 4-3, guess what? You can use a power rusher because they can still stop the run. They can still rush the passer. I like these guys. I really do like the power rushers for the D tackle. They ain't my number one. And, like I said, I like them for edge rusher too, man. I think the power rushers is definitely super, super useful. Next, let's move on to linebackers. And the linebackers are interesting, man. I'm not going to lie. Linebackers definitely interesting here just because I'm not sure if it's a big gap between all the linebackers, man. So I definitely wanted to specify from outside to inside linebackers, your Wills and Sams to your Mike linebacker, because I think it's slightly different in gameplay. So if you want speed, your fastest linebacker is going to be the signal callers. They're going to come in with the most speed most consistently. So keep that in mind, signal callers. Now, but they may lack some other attributes, but they seem to be a little bit well-rounded, man. I think the signal caller, outside linebacker, I think it's good. I'm not going to lie. I think it's good. Is it the best thing in the world? Maybe not, but it's definitely good. I think also the thumping outside linebacker good, man. You're getting good tackling. You're getting the best hit power as, that's that archetype. You're also getting some good abilities for stopping the run. Now, the issue is they got to develop that ability to cover. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. If you have manual progression, you could, override that and have them be great coverage guys. But the thing I like about the thumper that I'm probably going to put it ahead of the signal caller for outside is the fact that they could also rush the passer the best out of all these guys, man. And, for outside linebackers, you might send them on a blitz. Sometimes you'll have these outside linebackers also rushing the passers as like a rush defensive end. So these thumpers are pretty good, man. These thumpers are pretty good because they can become well-rounded. The speed is also not horrible. Now, the one thing I noticed is compared to the inside linebacker thumper and outside linebacker, it seemed like the outside one takes it's a little bit more expensive for them to upgrade, man, as I was going through my testing. And that's something I also noticed from last year with the run stopper. It's pretty much the same thing from last year. The run stopper and thumper this year, same exact thing pretty much. Seemed like they coded it the same because it seemed like it just takes a little bit longer for that outside thumper to develop rather than the inside thumper. Is the end of the world? No. These guys still could be great, man. At the end of the day, if you get a 4-star, 5-star gem, 3-star gem, still go after them. They still could be very useful. But like I said, a lot of this stuff is really dependent on what you want to do with your defense, what scheme you run in, what you're looking for compared to the offense, man. Next is Lurker. So I'm going to probably put Lurker just in the meh category, and this is my thought process, and now I'm factoring a little bit how I guess I run defense, so maybe a little bit biased here. The Lurker, they could be well-rounded, but what you're losing out is some tackling. Obviously, it's supposed to be like more of a coverage linebacker, so you're getting some zone, some man coverage, and, you're also getting solid speed, nothing out this world. The signal call, like I said, they're going to be the fastest out of all these linebackers, outside linebackers here. But my issue is you're losing out on a lot of tackling. These guys come in off the jump, tackling will be lower. And for me, it's like, if I'm going to play zone coverage or if I'm going to run coverage, I'm probably not looking to have my outside linebackers out there. Not in my defense. I like to bring my safeties or, my coverage guys. Get my sub linebackers out there, the guys that could coverage if I know they're going to run the ball. For me, like I said, if I run a 4-3 defense, if I know they passing the ball, I'm probably going to go to a nickel. And in that case, my outside linebackers don't touch the field. So, in my defense, my outside linebackers are not that game changing. It's a lot of plays where they're not going to be on the field for me. And when they are on the field, in my head, I'm trying to stop the run. So for that reasoning, in my defense, I'm going to put the Lurker a little bit lower, just in the meh category. And like I said, if you're running your defense a little bit better, a little bit different, whatever, this could very well go in the good category, and the thumper could very well go to the bad. So it all depends on your defense. But all these guys are useful. All these guys are useful. All these linebackers, these outside linebackers. It's not like it's one clear winner for these outside linebackers. You move to the inside, it's one clear winner, and that's going to be your athlete thumper. Your athlete thumper, middle linebacker, man. That's the best thing in this whole entire game. Whole entire defense, I should say, man. They can play anywhere. And now that you can actually move these athletes around, you could put this guy at D-line, and he will develop to be an absolute dog. And think about it, you're getting excellent speed at the defensive line spot, man. So I love them for that. And like I said, they'll develop everything. The ability to stop the run, block shedding, everything for a defensive lineman. You can move them to safety. And you could keep them at linebacker. I really think your best bet is for all your linebackers to go at their athlete, thumping middle linebackers, and just move them. Just move them. Okay, I need an outside linebacker, athlete thumper. I need a middle, athlete thumper. I need an outside, athlete thumper. The thing that makes them so good is you're getting great speed, the fastest of all the linebackers on average. They're coming in with the most speed. You're also getting good zone coverage for a thumper coming out of high school. A regular thumping middle linebacker, zone coverage will drop. You're also getting good tackling. Like you're getting everything. The man coverage is also solid. Now, with the one thing you're losing out on is going to be your hit power. The hit power for these athlete thumpers will be lower. So if you're a big hit power guy, okay, you might want to go at the regular thumper if you know you really want the hit power, all of that. But for me, the athlete thumper is the way to go, and that's going to be the best linebacker in the game by far. By far, man. Next, we get into the signal caller and the lurker. And, I'm going to put them in the good category also, man. So, actually, the more I think about it, I'm going to drop the lurker down to the med category. And hear me out. My issue with the lurker is they're coming in with the least amount of tackling, but you still get, like, the wrap-up ability inside your ability list. But most of them will never even touch that just because you need, like, an 88 tackling. And a lot of these lurkers don't get tackling that high, man. You'll have some of these lurkers with tackling 82, 83. Like, they don't really get high tackling. They don't always develop it. So it's like, that ability is almost useless, just because not many of them will even get it. Obviously, if you progress it, you could get them there. And then also, it's like you're not getting elite speed. Last year, the pass coverage linebackers was the fastest. And, this year that's not the case. The signal caller is faster. And then also, the athlete thumper is going to be faster than these guys. So it's like, what's really the advantage? Okay, you get the pass coverage abilities. And you also get the really good zone and man coverage. Now, most people use their middle linebacker as their user. So, maybe the man and zone coverage, how much do that really matter when you're usering? And, maybe it matters a lot. But I haven't actually tested it to see, if having a good zone coverage and you actually using it, for me, it's like you're using it. It's all stick skills. So whether you have a 60 or 100 man coverage or zone coverage, does it really matter when you're using? And maybe, like I said, I don't really know the answer to that, but I'm leaning towards the side of your user matters a lot more than zone or man coverage when you playing with that guy, if all that makes sense. So point is, I'm going to drop these lurkers down to the med category. And like I said, depending on how you run your defense, if you want to move this up, go ahead. Another issue I have with the signal callers, like I said, their tackling is going to be a little bit lower. And they also get, hit power is also going to be lower. And they get the hammer ability, which is pretty much a improved hit sticks. And that ability needs like an 86 hit power requirement. Another ability where these guys are not really going to get it because they're not a thumper. They're not really worried about hit power. And, they're not really going to develop it. And it's expensive to upgrade that power. It's expensive, man. You might not even want to upgrade that. You might be better off just getting solid tackling. So, I'm going to put the signal caller up here, too, in the good category because I do think they're the second best linebacker choice. And, I guess I'll put the regular thumping linebacker. I guess I'll probably also put them in the med category if I had to. But like I said, I just don't see a point to go after the regular thumper when you have the athlete thumper, man. There's really no point at all. Also, I can't not talk about the instinct ability for linebackers, man. That's going to be a mental ability. So you either have it or you don't coming out of high school. These mental abilities can't change, unfortunately. And so if you see a guy and he's a lurker, middle linebacker, and he got instant, maybe you go after him, because what that ability do is any run play, they got better reaction. That's a great ability, man. I don't know why. That's like damn near one of the best mental abilities in the whole entire game. And it's for linebackers, and also I believe your box coverage safeties, your box safeties could also get it. And it's a good ability. So if you do see a guy with that, maybe you also want to prioritize that as well. Actually, it looks like any safety could get that ability, because we got a coverage specialist right here, and he has that instance ability. So apparently anyone could get that. But let's come back over here and let's go ahead and move on to the corners. And I think the corner is another interesting one for me, because it depends what you want to run. I like to run man and zone coverage. So I need a guy that could do both. I really do. I need a guy that could do both. If you want speed, bump and run and zone seems to be the two fastest. You know, bump and run seems to be the fastest from my experience. And you also have some zone corners also pretty fast. Now, that don't mean you can't have a boundary corner develop high speed. But coming out of high school, it seems like the bump and run number one and the zone number two when it comes to fastest. Now, my issue with the bump and run, which is just the man corner, the zone coverage oftentimes very bad. If you progress it, you could even it out. But the zone coverage be bad with all the progression. And guess what? With the zone corners, the man coverage be very bad. I like to run both. And I run all the progression. So I don't really go after these two corners. You know, I would rather go after actually the field or the boundary. So like I said, both these corners usable. I'm putting them at the back half of the good category. Abilities for both of them, like I don't know what was really going on when they decided the abilities for some of these corners. So this is the bumper run, you know, the man corner, and as you would expect, he get man abilities, improved man coverage, blanket, you know, you get jammer, press ability, another pretty much man ability, and you also get ball hawk, you know, good ability. Then you look at the zone corner, and it's like, then I start, you know, losing understanding of why he has these abilities. So knockout, you know, solid ability, you know, knock the ball out in zone and man coverage. You need both zone and good man coverage to get this ability. So most of these zone corners will never get this, because you need 86 requirements. You get layout, another ability that a lot of these guys will never get, because you need a high spectacular catch. It's not something these guys are really upgrading like that. You get house call, improve interception attempts. Another solid ability, you know, nothing wrong with that. Ball hawk, improve break on passes. Okay, solid ability. And he gets bouncer. Like, where is the real zone? Like, why don't you get many zone abilities? Like, I'm getting frustrated, man. I'm getting frustrated. And then you look at, you know, I believe it's going to be the field corner. Let's look at the field corner abilities. You see it in the middle of the screen, say field. Come look at his abilities. Like, why do he get robber? Improve movement and zone coverage, but the zone corner don't get this ability. I don't know. I'm confused. So I really believe that the field corner has the best abilities in the game. Because you get this robber, a zone ability, and you also get blanket coverage, the man ability. Then you also get ball hawk, you get knockout, and knockout actually makes sense for this guy because he's going to develop both. Now, the wrap up makes zero sense because he's never going to get an 88 tackle in that corner. That's not realistic. So, point is, let's come back over here to the tier list, man, before I get even more frustrated. So, for me, the field corner is borderline great. Borderline. I want to put him there. We'll put him there, man, just to have another guy great. And my reasoning is I love guys that's well-rounded without having to, you progress it, like the game. And then he's even also well-rounded with the abilities, as you see also, man. He gets zone abilities, man abilities as well. The only issue is they're going to come in slower. But guess what? For you guys that manually progress, y'all don't got to worry about that because y'all can just go ahead and upgrade his speed. But you could get some with speed also. But on average, they're going to come in slower than the first two corners. But like I said, just more well-rounded. You're losing out on the press coverage. If you like to run press, GG's. This is not the corner for you, man. So I really do, like I said, really do like these field corners. They're going to be my number one. and they're going to be great in my opinion, just compared to the other options. Boundary, I'm gonna put boundary actually ahead of the bumper run and the zone. Another corner that is actually a little bit more well-rounded. Every player will develop a little bit differently, but these guys seem to develop a little bit more well-rounded. Do I love the abilities? Maybe not. These guys also get quick jump, which is a pass rush ability. Quick jump on Hall of Fame. That's easy for them because it has to do with acceleration. So you can really get some cheesy stuff here. They also get jammer. Like, this is a solid archetype, man. And then also, like I said, you kind of get the balanced coverage ratings, man. So I like the boundary. I think all the corners in this game are usable, man. You also get layout for this guy, man. Let's come over here and show you layout. I think layout is a super useless ability because it has to do with spectacular catch, and it starts off so low for these corners. Also get wrap up, another super useless ability. 85 tackling requirement. You're not having the corner get that much tackling, but you do get blanket coverage and also jammer, and then like I say, you get that quick jump, which is unique. You do get some unique abilities. Maybe play this guy in the slot. Maybe even play this guy, I don't know, play him at safety. Do what you want. But definitely could play in the slot. And I like these guys. I ain't going to lie, bro. That's why I picked them as, pretty much my second favorite corner, and then the bump and run in the zone. Obviously, if you just run man coverage, the bump and run your guy. There ain't no point to go after anyone else if you run it man all game. If you run the zone all game, guess what? Zone is your guy. If you like to mix it up, I think you're better off with the field and the boundary, and maybe even the zone or man here and there. But if you manually progress it, you can finesse them both. Next, let's move on to the safeties. And I group both safeties together, the free and strong, because they are identical. They both are exactly the same in this game. So my favorite safety, once again, all the safeties are solid. And now that we determined that all the safeties, the instance ability, the box coverage, because at one point people just were saying, oh, the box coverage only get that ability. No, I showed you a coverage specialist also get that ability, man. That ability is rare though. It is very rare to get on the safety, but it's possible. If you do see it, that's good, especially if you get on the coverage specialist, because you got coverage specialists that get improved, run game coverage or whatever, ability to stop the run. That's great. Now, all these safeties, like I said, they play a role. I'm going to go ahead and put the box safety in my med category. And it's a scheme out there where the box safety could be great. Not mine. Not mine. Slowest and also the worst zone and man coverage. Cannot cover. They could develop it though, but cannot cover. You're looking at a linebacker, man. You'll legit have athlete, thumper middle linebackers with better coverage ratings than this box specialist. I generally believe that, man. I think you're better off going at that athlete, thumping middle linebacker and moving to safety instead of just going at the regular box specialist. I really, really do believe that. And like I said, some archetypes or some defenses, this could be a lot more useful. I'm going to put them in the med category. Not bad, because they do develop. The abilities are there. You do get aftershock. But the issue with the aftershock for these guys, we have 3 guys in our entire nation. These are all the players in the nation, man. Let's come over here to hit power. You have 3 guys that's able to get aftershock. Out of all the safeties in the entire nation, 3 guys. What's the odds one of those 3 guys is going to be on your team? So aftershock is a very good ability that has to do with the wear and tear at the hit stick. And the requirement is an 88 hit power. So even if you do get the ability, you're getting it on bronze. That's the reality. You're probably going to get it on bronze, man. To get it on gold or silver is going to be a 90 requirement. So most likely, that ability you're not going to get on your coverage specialist. And look at strong safety. I don't know what's going on with strong safety, but none of these strong safeties could get, 88 hit power. So they can't even touch that ability neither. So kind of for that reason, I'm gonna put them boys in just the med category, man. Like I said, it could be usable in the defense, but just not mine. Next, we'll go with the coverage specialist, and I'm gonna put them in the good category also, man. I think these guys are usable. They come in the fastest out of all the safeties, and it's close. The hybrid safeties also come in pretty fast, but you're getting the best coverage abilities by far. By far. Some of these guys could go play corner. How good coverage zone and man coverage be, man. And also, the tackling sometimes don't be slouchy. They develop good tackling sometimes, man. I've seen a cover specialist with 90 tackling, more tackling than a box specialist, man. So for that reasoning, I'm putting them in a good category. They might be the best. I'm gonna put the hybrid safety right behind them, man. It's close. The hybrid safety is usable this year. Is it the best thing in the world? No. But they're even. They're really hybrids. They kind of do it all. You get some more tackling. You get, better zone coverage, man coverage, than the box specialist, and you're getting better tackling on average than the coverage specialist. So hybrid, like I said, you do it all. If you want to run 2 hybrid safeties for your defense, I wouldn't be mad at that. If you want to run a coverage specialist and the box specialist, I wouldn't be mad at that. All these guys could play a role. But for me, I probably want a hybrid guy, and then also coverage specialist. That's probably what I lean to. I just think that's covering a little bit of everything, man. I'm still able to stop the run, and then I'm great in the pass game when it comes to coverage, man, because I got the coverage specialist and I got the hybrid. Both these guys can go out there and cover. Both of them could cover. And like I said, if that coverage specialist develops some tackling, I'm green. If I find one guy with that instant ability, I'm also even better. So that's my tier list, man. That's my defensive tier list, man. I also want to drop an athlete-only tier list as well, man. Y'all let me know if y'all want to see that. So I'll go through all the athletes and put them in the tier list. I kind of already talked about a little bit of them. The athlete middle linebacker, the athlete edge rushers. But there's some really good athletes in this game, man. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. Check out the ebook down below. But we're on to the next one.